Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, I'm sure by the day ends, all among all of us, perhaps the AI version will get upgraded. So it's been really interesting to hear out the conversations since morning and get to know various perspectives. Well, I think one of the fundamental changes which is happening right now is when you look into the probably the history and early academic research of AI, perhaps the thought was how to bring in intelligence into machines. And there was always this debate between human intelligence and machine intelligence. And perhaps it also had to do with our egos, that we are never going to use machine intelligence. But today, thankfully, I think we have accepted this reality that as humans, we are going to use machine intelligence. And today, in fact, it's not only become trendy, but it's also probably an indicator of showing our intelligence that we are using artificial intelligence. So that's something interesting to see. Well, we learned panelists so far, speakers so far, and what I have with me is a set of 5 gentlemen. I wish there would have been one lady also, at least, but I know it's not by intent, who have kind of started their journey with AI and have all the conviction in the industry, in the technology, that they have committed themselves, their future, their profession, their journey with AI. So while we heard a lot of panelists since morning talking about, how about the use cases of AI, ethicality, legality, and other aspects of AI. Now, with this panel, what I would want to, discuss around is, we would not obviously be, cruising at the altitude of the previous panels, because we are representing startups, so we will have different altitude to talk about. So I have with me Ayush, Deepak, Hariom, Chetan, and Meher. Ayush, starting with you. So, there's a lot of, and it has been quite well explained all, throughout the day. But from a startup perspective, I want to understand how, what is Gen AI kind of evolving for a startup as an opportunity?
Yeah, so like that's a pretty great question, and this is where like we also tend to misunderstood what about like what is exactly Gen AI's capabilities are. Because like AI is like not something which occurred after ChatGPT. AI is have been into the picture from like a decade or more than like 20, 30 years back as well. So in my particular domain, what we are working as in software development, if I talk about, there have been lots of AI tools which overall increases the developer's productivity, whether it is into like static code analysis, which like analyzes your code and improves your code quality, or helps in code fixing as well. What Gen AI has evolved and like gave us the opportunity to be a step ahead was like generating the code as well. So like as generative AI, what like it differs from the like predictive AI was, in the predictive AI we have to like make a set of rules. On the basis of that, it predicts the like what's the right or wrong. And in generative AI, it is now capable in generating the fresh code based upon the previous set of training data it has. So this actually allows it to act as a real programmer and actually solves a particular problem by a code. So Gen AI has particularly been very, very helpful in like for developers in like creating the fixed version of the code and not just providing the like levels of like area like where exactly the improvisation can be done. It also like is now capable of improvising and also giving the correct version, and also like generating the entire the code which is required for the software development. So this is now big into step ahead, and now we have also seen the AI software engineers like coming into the market. Like this is like what I believe was like GenAI capabilities in software development, particularly because we work into software development, so I'm the right person to talk about in that domain. GenAI has been helpful in creating the new content, like vis-a-vis the predictive AI, which was more used in like making the decisions whether it is a right or wrong.
Okay, I'm sure there will be questions. I don't see, probably we have students here, but those of the students who may watch it later, so they'll have a question, is their job lost and all that. I'll come to that again. Deepak, the same kind of question to you. How do you see Gen AI, enabling the startup ecosystem?
Firstly, thanks Business World for inviting us. I think this is a team of builders, so you will probably hear the challenges, the opportunities from the horse's mouth. To your question, again, thanks Faisal for that question. We've heard a lot today about what generative AI is. I wouldn't go defining it, right? Two keywords, new content from existing patterns, right? And the other is reasoning. I would be bold today to say that generative AI is probably species defining. I don't see this as an internet, pre-internet to internet jump or a feature phone to iPhone jump. I think we are sitting at a cusp of something which is going to change our lives big time. From that aspect, think about this as just the start of much more crazier things to come. And for us now in this world, especially with startups, what it's really helping us is my industry, and what I'm trying to disrupt is a very traditional industry, which is the beauty industry, right? The Nykas, the urban companies, and your mom and shop salons and your beauty products, right? To disrupt something like this, which has been there around maybe for the last 3,000, 4,000 years, really needs disruptive technology, right? For startups like us, I think we are looking at opportunities which have never been there before to understand the customer and consumer, be it a consumer like me or a young kid or an enterprise like never before. Okay, generative AI to startup founders is giving that window to understand the consumer and the customer like never before. So, yeah, I think it brings about opportunities we've never seen before, Faisal.
Sure, thank you. Hariom, same kind of question to you, but maybe if you could also add that, just imagine there would not have been Gen AI. So solving the same problem, how difficult would it have been for you?
Let me start with first introducing myself. So I'm Hariom Seth. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been running a marketing technology company for 1.5 decades. And recently, I have diversified into the space of education technology and AI-based learning at a level of, graduates and colleges. So now answering how Gen AI is changing the game, okay? And I'll give you some metaphorical example, and I'll also give you some specific example. So on a broad level, why Gen AI is different is that over the years, from the power of decision making, we have got the power of creation, okay? Earlier, the AI was everywhere, but it was in the background. It was right in the algorithms which push us ads on Instagram. It was curating our feed on YouTube. It was even, taking care of a lot of features which are hidden in the complex softwares. So it was always there, but it was in the background. What Gen AI has done, it has put that power of that tool in the hands of a normal people. So there is a huge democratization of creation. So say what Deepak is also doing, Deepak is building a, democratizing styling. That means, you can upload your picture, you can change your hairstyle, you can change your beard, even before, because if you change, like I just got a haircut yesterday, but I was not aware about Deepak's tool, otherwise I would have first pre-visualized what haircut to get, and then I would have, ventured into a haircut. So what Gen AI specifically is doing, that normal people now can experience the power of creation, and that is totally disruptive. So I'll give you two examples and how how I am specifically applying that power to the business. Say I am an investor in a Gen AI learning platform called DoZeal. Okay, so the problem this company is solving is that it is one of the only or one of the few personalized learning platforms in the world. So India as a country has a very unique problem. The problem is that we are just too many people, but we are underskilled or unskilled, okay? And we don't have the resources to teach so many people so rapidly. Like the digital divide is widening so rapidly with the change of technology that we don't have the resources to upskill so many people in a matter of few years. And AI is a perfect technology. So rather than, training and educating so many trainers which will educate our country, if there is a tool that is even better than a tutor in the school, that can provide high quality education at scale, okay? Which is impossible to do without tools of Gen AI. Okay. So specifically Gen AI is solving a problem of giving high quality services at a very large scale. That is a very unique part of it. Another thing that we are doing is we are trying to make India AI ready by introducing curriculums at universities. That's another venture that we have just taken into. And we cannot do it without AI. Even the curriculum is designed with the help of, the popular AI systems, because we don't know as much about this technology as these very sophisticated tools can. So to summarize, two major sources of power. One is democratization. That means the individual now has power of an expert, power and sophistication of a very complicated system which was not available to him earlier. That is one. Another is some problems that required humongous resources to be solved at scale now can be solved. Like the problem of scale can be solved, and India is a very unique country. So, we are a country full of problems, so there is enough and more opportunities in our own country to solve. Yeah.
Great. So very, very diverse, use cases and, journeys you three are up to. And I'm sure, Chetan, you are also onto a journey where you are trying to leverage Gen AI for a very specific purpose. So can you also help us understand how your startup is leveraging Gen AI?
Okay, so initially my introduction. So we started out with a real-time video analytics company. We provide analytics on compliance and security purposes in real time. So we work with the Prime Minister Security and some enterprise companies where we provide compliance like PPE kits. If somebody is not wearing a PPE kit in a particular area, these kinds of things is what we are doing. Now, if you'll see these kinds of analytics in video analytics, they vary from a very small thing like I need to detect a person, its age to its gender, then it can vary towards a car. But if I have to identify a particular person, let's say a 5-footed person with the beard and carrying a flower pot in particular camera, I do not have a particular class for all these things, right? So if this needs to be identified, I'll certainly have to ask a security guard to look through the footage. Otherwise, what I could do is I could generate an image, a similar image with the background of that camera, and then I could search based on the similarity of this image with the footage that I have. And if I can do that, I can search the same person within a matter of seconds or minutes. That would have taken a security guard to search probably 4 hours or 5 hours. By that time, the perpetrator or whoever we wanted to search would have gone already. So these kinds of things are impossible to do without generative AI right now. Otherwise, even if you have something for a niche case, you will have to train a model, you will have to deploy it, probably that whole cycle will take around somewhere around a week or so at least. So these kinds of things are easily solvable with the generative AI that was probably not the case probably 2-3 years ago.
Sure. Meher, coming to you. Meher.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So Meher, coming to you, how is Hector, leveraging Gen AI, and what is it exactly solving as a startup?
Yeah, sure. So hi guys, good afternoon. My name is Meher, as rightly mentioned. We basically are an advertising tech platform. So originally it's been 3 years that we've developed a platform which allows Amazon and Flipkart advertisers to bring in efficiency into their advertising spends that they're doing on a day-to-day basis. So in a game where every day they have a certain amount of advertising spends to be managed, they required a platform which will allow them to understand the granularity of the data, which will give them the right intelligence to take the right actions on a day-to-day basis. Now, when we build this platform, we realized that most of the users, because the spends are so high and because the data is so humongous, they wanted more custom data from the existing data that we projected on our visualization platform, on our own platform. Now that's when the idea came in that, how far can a platform keep customizing the data for every user? And that's when the thought of introducing generative AI into Hector came in. So while it took us 3 years to build the platform that we are at this moment, it's been 6 months that we indulge into building generative AI within Hector, wherein now users can start using their own data, ask for any granular insights within their own data, and get that insight or get that intelligence right on the alley. Now, it just sounds too good to be true, but at the same time, there is, as my colleague out here mentioned, that it is not that easy to build the generative AI and have the right response coming in. So I feel that even though we have structured data, right? Advertising data is restricted. You have certain limited KPIs. You have certain limited parameters and attributes. Even though you have those limited number of parameters, but the permutation and combinations of these are humongous. And in spite of that structured data, we have seen that there is hallucination, and there's a lot of things which, even though you keep refining it, it's a long way to go. So I think that's the path, that's the journey that we are building in. I think it's too early to say that we've cracked it, but I think we are on the right path, and it's a journey that it will require us rigorous amount of language processing and fine-tuning in order to get that accuracy that we really want. So we are loving the process, and I think we are doing the right thing for a user, because every user is unique. Every demand for the user has to be taken by with care, and that's exactly what we are trying to do right now. So yeah.
Okay, so interesting. One of the observations here is that if we look back maybe 5 years, 6 years, or maybe more than that at startups, a lot of them were services oriented, and then then you had the issue of scalability and really creating something which gives you that differentiation and uniqueness. The good part here is that leveraging Gen AI, these are all 5 different products coming up. That's an interesting thing to note over here. Okay, again coming to you, Ayush. Now, we have seen these phases, okay? Early times, we would say, hey, you need to have a digital first approach, then mobile first approach, then maybe data first approach, okay? All these kind of approaches came up. And now we're talking of there should be AI first approach or Gen AI, first approach. So first of all, how good this is as an idea for any startup or for any entrepreneur, or maybe a student right now thinking on some idea to have this approach in the first instance. And what are those maybe 2-3 things that need to be taken in mind before adopting this approach?
Yeah, definitely. Like having an AI first approach or Gen AI like particularly focused approach is actually very beneficial as well as important in like the current market which is currently going, because Gen AI has made like many capabilities in different market segments, whether it is a software development, whether it is a like salon market or creative industry or any other market industry we take upon. There are lots of use cases which weren't like solved with the traditional approaches, and Gen AI has like made it possible. So it's kind of a necessary if you're particularly solving a problem which can be possible through Gen AI itself. You have to like start thinking on that approach itself. So if someone is adopting Gen AI into its solution, like my personal recommendations are particularly onto two major front. Like firstly onto like instead of having a chatbot assistant which actually like answers your questions related to that industry, try to integrate it into your existing workflows. This is what I have also seen like in different products. What they do is simply just create a GPT assistant over their website, and like it's just a conversational AI. But like users are not able to interact with the machines till now. Like even now, after the launch of ChatGPT a year ago, like more than a year ago itself, people are not able to use ChatGPT also to its best of its capabilities, because again of the problem of prompt engineering which we have seen upon people, especially onto tier 3, tier 4, like if you talk about cities in India, they are not able to interact. They don't know even how to talk to a machine. So this is a problem of conversational AI. What we have seen observed is, so I personally believe, like if you are able to integrate generative AI into your existing workflows, like if it is a product in terms of a user experience itself, if you are able to integrate into that, that will be something, will be much easier adoption in terms of a user, rather than creating a conversational platform where if the user asks, then only it will be able to get that answer. So reducing the user decision, reducing the friction would be something you should definitely look upon while integrating Gen AI into your particular like solution. Secondly is of, like if you're starting up like creating a Gen AI like powered application, try to leverage the existing made technologies. Like now, like we used to see like nowadays everywhere, like this startup is a GPT wrapper, or they don't have their own tech or something like that. Like actually, honestly speaking, like it doesn't matter to a user if you're using OpenAI API or you have an own LLM. Even we started up with an like OpenAI API itself, and now after like 1 year, now we have started like building our own LLMs. So this is not actually mandatory to start everything from scratch. It's like more onto like establishing a right use case, and like solving a problem is more important than actually building the technology, which we have always got the advice of building the startups. So like try to leverage the existing open source LLMs as well. There have been lots of models available on Hugging Face. Like in every industry you talk about, whether it is code, whether it is like video or audio, every single, like Indic languages as well. There have been lots of great models which have been already built upon. Like try to leverage those and try to see how it gets like performed into your particular use case. And then like slowly and gradually, when you get the learnings on your users, you get the right set of data, then like probably after a certain stage when you have scaled upon, if that's important at that time as well, like if it's not important as well, then like just like start going it with the wrapper itself, because you know like there have been lots of billion-dollar companies as well who have been building with just OpenAI APIs. They don't have their own LLMs even after becoming a unicorn as well. So this is not actually necessary.
Thank you, Ayush. I need
Yeah.
to interrupt you here.
No problem.
On a lighter note, against a free version, you give the pro answer.
Yeah.
Now coming on to Deepak, Deepak, what is your view on the same question? What are those maybe 2-3 things that any entrepreneur needs to, think about before going with this Gen AI first approach?
So when you asked, I was thinking about something which is a slightly different take on the word MVP, okay? I think I want to controversially say it's no more about viability. If we are not creating products which release dopamine, we are not doing anything. Let's quit, yeah? So I want to bring about a concept here which is MDP, minimum dope product, yeah? And I think as entrepreneurs, and I think as future entrepreneurs, I think the first thing is the product, is the problem large enough? Is it important? Of course, I think all of us know that. And is your solution dope? Okay. Is generative AI the answer to make it dope? Or like Professor Shantanu in the morning session said, you have a hammer because then everything is a nail, right? Right? Just do not apply generative AI just because it's around. But is generative AI the dope for your product? And if so, as an entrepreneur, I think look at the generative AI stack pyramid, I would call, because at the bottommost is your compute. It's your NVIDIA, it's your newer GPU companies. Above that is your Microsoft, AWS compute platforms. Above that is your foundation models. And it actually, so going above that, you bring an abstraction and then your application layer. Yeah? It's not a traditional stack. It's actually a pyramid if you look at it from a cost standpoint. So if your dope is really generative AI, figure out whether you need to touch upon compute. Compute would be maybe $100, $200 million. If you have that kind of money, of course, think about it. Is it AWS a competitor to that? I would run away in the opposite direction. Is it a foundational model? $50 million, right? But can you start thinking about customizing foundational models? Can you make it your own without taking the $50 million funding, which you're not going to get, right? So I have that spin on MDP, and I think as entrepreneurs, maybe think about the dope product more than just a product.
Okay, good one. Hariom, I think between Ayush and Deepak, they gave a detailed insights into what could be thought around Gen AI first approach. So I would want you to maybe focus a bit more on what are those 2-3 trends, India specific trends you feel are very apt for anyone to start up, and at the same time if you could also highlight a bit of challenges that you see right now in the landscape.
Right. So, so first I'll react to what Deepak said. So anybody who is willing to start a AI-led startup right now, there is a good news and there is a bad news. So the good news is that this technology is going to be relevant for a very, very long time. So you're not late. But whatever you're seeing today as a trend, you are slightly late to the party because a lot of people have already started solving those problems. So you need to think a little ahead. So you cannot look at 2024 and start building a startup for 2024. You need to at least look at 2027, 2030, what kind of problems you can solve, 3 to 5 years down the line, and then start today. So that's one. Another thing is, AI is not going to be the silver bullet for everything. That means, you cannot just apply AI to everything. First of all, you have to look at real problems. Only if, say, real problems are being solved, then only your startup is going to be valuable and make money, like what Meher is doing. So it looks like an ad tech startup, but it's a fintech startup because you're dealing with people's money. You are helping them make better financial decisions, and you're increasing the efficiency of every dollar that is being spent. Okay, so there is a real value there. That's why any technology applied to, increase the efficiency of your customer is actually valuable. Now, if you are really in the game to start a new company which is AI-led, there are few things that you can definitely look at, and specifically to India. Okay, so AI is great where humongous data is required, and as a country, because we are such a large country, we actually generate a lot of data. Okay, so as a data-rich country, India is poised to be a very important market globally as well as domestically. That means we can solve our own problems. It could be in healthcare, it could be in education, because just of the sheer scale, like we have so many people in our country that if we just start any data company in the future which will harvest data to train these models, you're going to be very relevant. One big trend, I'll keep it short because the time on the clock is very little for my other panelists to react. So I'll keep it very short. So now you have to start looking beyond large language models, okay? Now the multimodal models are going to be the king of the future. That means the big players have already ingested most of the language which was available on the internet. They have read everything, they have computed everything. They might have not released that, but they've already ingested the whole internet. Now the second phase of AI revolution will come from other data sources. That could be vision data, that could be sensor data, that could be financial data. So if you are going to start a company of the future, look at other data sources. You can build a company on top of any of these multimodal trends that are going to be in the future. But for India, if you get into the data business, it is another big opportunity. So look at where, because all these big foundational models will need a lot of data to train themselves. The AI is only as good as the data you provide it, okay? And specifically, if India can harvest the training data for the world, it's like a $1 billion opportunity that you can look at, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Chetan, so he talked about more on the opportunity side. If you could, maybe explain a bit more on the challenges side. As a startup in Gen AI, what are a couple of challenges which you see there?
Certainly, one of the challenges that I see right now is every 3 months a new model comes in, and you now have to fit according to that. And if you haven't built a company which is flexible enough, you'll have certain challenges to replace the older models and put in the new ones. These kinds of challenges are very massive when you have built something very specific to one technology. Taking example of ChatGPT. So 3.5 changed to 4, and it was just an API change. But if somebody wanted to shift to Cloud 3 initially, it would have been a difficult thing. And probably if you wanted to do a fine tuning, had there not been a company like Together AI, it would have been very difficult.
Okay. Meher, coming to you. So obviously we need a lot of, enablement over there. Okay, we saw in the QX lab presentation, the kind of ecosystem that is there, and we need that kind of ecosystem, and they have been, fantastically working on for the past 8-9 years on it. So, within India, I have two questions for you. So one, because tech has a universal appeal. Okay, so is it really possible that we or is there a need that we should have an India-centric, complete AI ecosystem? Okay. And second, what do you see right now, the status around it? I don't know, like how many of you have observed that, a simple tool like Mailer, except for I think Zoho, we don't have any, major name coming out from India. We are using, mailers of so many, coming from Ireland, and we're not. So what's your take on it?
I think AI has no limitation, no boundary. However, India-specific AI is not something which I feel will fly for long, because it's a global knowledge, and any industry-specific, country-specific structured data which can be plugged in to a model, it can definitely give a good output. Now, a very good line what Hariom said, and this is exactly what we are going through right now as a tech, and one of the biggest challenge is that amalgamating the domain knowledge along with the tech knowledge. So it's like shit in, shit out. So if you have a tech co-founder who knows the Gen AI piece, but if the tech co-founder doesn't have the domain knowledge, so if the domain knowledge doesn't fit in with the tech knowledge, so you're always going to be in a misery. And this is something that, I feel that from the domain side of it, we are very, very strong, because we understand what we are doing. We understand the advertising to the depth of it. And hence, we chose to bring in Gen AI into our ecosystem. However, it is becoming difficult to pass that domain knowledge into the Gen AI in order for that to give right corrective answers. So I think that's the ecosystem which I believe the country and globally there has to be some community which allows the domain people to come together with the experts of the Gen AI to bring that, amalgamation to get a winning solution. So I think that's the.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. So one last question. We are kind of out of time. I'm sure if AI would have been scheduling, that would have factored the number of people I have the panel. But nevertheless, one last question to each one of you. Ayush, so where do you see, as an organization, by 2030, what kind of impact do you see creating for the society?
So, like 6 years down the line, what we see in our particular industry is like AI will be able to handle like all the kind of day-to-day tasks which are actually kind of a repetitive, whether it is a code fixing, code reviewing, generating the first level of code base to iterating upon the boilerplate code. So the more focused will be onto the logic building side. We believe still the engineers will be required upon, and all the junior level tasks will be automated by.
Sure. Deepak, quickly, like it's a rapid fire. What impact you are expecting by 2030?
That's a tough one. Yeah. Look, I'll just make this thought, right? I think the path we are, SVAYO included, is information to choices, to answers, to truths. In fact, if you really look at how data is progressing, it might touch upon these 4 things, right? That's what I believe. And I think we are in this phase where it's transitioning between choices and answers through generative AI. Generative AI is in some sense answering Turing's question, can machines think, right? But for SVAYO and for the styling industry, I think it's about time that personal beauty and grooming becomes personal. It's not personal, right? It's boring. So we would expect that maybe we'll be a game changer in terms of how I get styled differently compared to my elder son.
Great. Hariom, same question.
Yeah. So
Again, a quick one.
Very quickly, yeah. So, like say 20 years back, India saw an IT revolution, and the great founders like Narayan Murthy, Nandan Nilekani, Azim Premji, they made India a relevant player globally in the whole IT ecosystem. I would be, more than happy if I can, play some contribution to making India a very important player in the AI ecosystem of the world. So that would be my 2030 goal, yeah.
Great. Chetan?
So you must have already seen the surveillance things in movies like Minority Report and Mission Impossible. So that is the vision that will come alive along with the VR and AR. We will create a digital twin, and that's where you will be able to search each and everything however you want to, with the voice, with the text, whatever you want to use.
Great. Meher, last.
Okay. In the world of advertising, what we believe is the next transformation, what we are building upon is that in your ad platform within Hector, you can come in and mention that you need 4 ROAS, and it's the machine which is going to take care of this entire efficiency for you, and it's going to try to build and give you the 4 ROAS. So that's something that we are building at this moment, and I think we're going to get there very soon.
Fantastic.